Remember that conditionals are sentences with two clauses, a main clause and an if clause. Now, conditionals state that the action in the main clause can only take place if a certain condition in the if clause is fulfilled. Have a look at the example over here. If we don't hurry, we will be late. Now, this is a conditional sentence and is used to state that the action in the main clause, being late, will take place if we don't hurry. Now, there are 5 main types of conditionals in English, and amongst them are conditionals type 3 or third conditionals. Now, conditionals type 3 or third conditionals are used to describe a past event that is different to what really happened. Note that these sentences are solely hypothetical. Thus, there's always some implication of regrets. Have a look at the example below. If we hadn't booked this trip, we wouldn't have missed her graduation ceremony, meaning that we wanted to be at her graduation ceremony, but we missed it because we were on a trip somewhere else. Now make sure to use the past perfect tense in the if clause and would have plus the past participle in the main clause. Note that the order of the main and if clause is not fixed, although when the if clause precedes the main one, make sure to use a comma. Have a look at the table below. Now, the if clause of type 3 conditionals is formed by if plus past perfect. Main clause would have plus verb ed or the past participle. Have a look at the examples below. If we had bought that lottery ticket, we would have won. If Jake hadn't drunk that night, he wouldn't have got into the car accident. Note that both would and had can be contracted to apostrophe D. Remember that would never appears in the if clause. Have a look at the example over here. If I had known that, I would have warned you. This would be equal to if I'd known that, I'd have warned you. Now let's review and practice a bit. Remember that third conditionals are used to describe a past event that is different to what really happened. Now read the following sentences and mark second conditionals as SC and third conditionals as TC. If I'd known, I wouldn't have done it. Third conditional. They wouldn't have missed the bus if they had left earlier. Third conditional. If Sam had more free time, he would be happier. Second conditional. Also remember that third conditionals are solely hypothetical. Thus, there is always some implication of regret. Now rewrite the following sentences so that their meanings stays the same. I could call Kelly that time. I know that she would help me. If I had called Kelly, she would have helped me. I really wanted to go to the party, but I had too much homework. If I had finished my homework, I would have gone to the party. Here is a short story using the type 3 conditionals. Listen as I read so you can see how they are used in real-life conversation. After I'm done, make sure you understand all the grammar and read aloud yourself so that you can work on your own fluency and pronunciation. Would you have come to the party if you had known that Meredith was there? I definitely wouldn't have come to your party if I had known she was there. I'm glad that I saw her standing somewhere in the crowd right when I entered your place and had a chance to avoid the greeting part. If I had known you two weren't on good terms, I wouldn't have invited her. It's already in the past. Don't worry about it. And now, time for you to practice on your own. Match the following sentences. A. If Emma would have been more attentive. B. If there had been Wi-Fi. C. Eric would have lost the fight. D. If I had been better at time management. E. If Pam had written a shopping list. F. If you had called me last week. G. If your team would have scored more goals. 1. We wouldn't have been lost. 2. I wouldn't have been staying up late working on my thesis. 3. We would have won the cup. 4. You would have known the news. 5. She wouldn't have failed the class. 6. She wouldn't have forgotten to buy tea. 7. If he hadn't worked out every single day. And now, write 3 sentences with third conditionals. Now let's check your answers. If Emma would have been more attentive, she wouldn't have failed the class. If there had been Wi-Fi, we wouldn't have been lost. Eric would have lost the fight if he hadn't worked out every single day. If I had been better at time management, I wouldn't have been staying up late working on my thesis. If Pam had written a shopping list, she wouldn't have forgotten to buy tea. If you had called me last week, you would have known the news. If your team would have scored more goals, we would have won the cup. Sample answers. If you hadn't woken me up, I would have been late. If we had arrived earlier, we wouldn't have missed the plane. If Susan hadn't drunk last night, she wouldn't have been hungover. Thank you for watching this tutorial.